Minister thinks he can make difficult questions about his secrets go away by lashing out personally against those asking those questions. Earlier today, he made belittling comments about our deputy leader and others who are simply doing their jobs. The only thing that will make these questions go away is for the minister to finally answer them, Mr. Speaker. This minister was hiding $20 million of Morneau Chappelle shares in only one of his holding companies. Can he please tell us what else is he hiding in his other holding companies?
Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, as I've said to this House, I believe it's important that we work with the Ethics Commissioner. That's important. And that is, in fact, exactly what I did. So by exposing all of my assets, 100% of my assets to the Ethics Commissioner when we came into office, I was able to get recommendations from her on how to best move forward to avoid that I didn't have conflicts of interest, like the other members of our government have done. We know, Mr. Speaker, that that's the way that we get to do the important work for Canadians, and not to play games or go for personal attacks that really don't advance the cause of any Canadians.
The honourable member for Carleton.
Listen, I know the finance minister is getting irritated by the process of accountability around this place, Mr. Speaker, but he did not reveal all of his assets to the Ethics Commissioner. He kept hidden his offshore company in France, and that's why she found him in violation of the law and required he pay a punitive fine. Now he's hiding other assets within different holding companies. He could make these questions go away if he'd simply tell Canadians what is he hiding in his vast network of numbered companies and trust funds.
Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, perhaps the member from Carleton doesn't actually know what an asset is, but all of my assets were exposed to the Ethics Commission. What I can say, Mr. Speaker, is that we continue to work on behalf of Canadians, and we will continue to do so. So, Mr. Speaker, for the member opposite, the member from Carleton, what I can say is for the more than 16,000 children in his riding that are getting the Canada Child Benefit, an average of $430 per family, we are proud that we are able to help those families. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Earlier today, the finance minister said that our deputy leader can't count, when in fact he's the one who's 100% over his promised deficit levels.
Right.
He said that others don't know what assets are when he's the one who just forgot to report his asset, an offshore company in France, to the Ethics Commissioner. Mr. Speaker, instead of lashing out at others, why doesn't the finance minister just let go of all the secrets and tell Canadians what he is hiding in all of his holding companies?
Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, earlier today I was speaking to the member from Milton. I want to be clear that I wasn't questioning her numeracy skills. I have the highest respect for the member from Milton, who I know who's had a positive business career. What I am questioning, and what I would question the member from Carleton, is the numbers that he's actually focusing on. In his case, I think the numbers he should focus on are the more than 16,000 children in his riding who are getting the Canada Child Benefit. On average, $520 per family. This is what we're doing for Canadians, Mr. Speaker. We're making families better off so that they can actually move forward to have confidence.
Order. Order. Member for Carleton.
The only way to know if he's making Canadians better off, instead of just making himself better off, is just to reveal what investments he has held over the last 2 years in his vast network of holding companies and trust funds. We just recently found out that he was taking $65,000 a month in dividends from a company that he simultaneously regulated. He introduced a bill that would help that company. Mr. Speaker, the only way to put all of this to bed and put an end to these questions for the minister is for him to come clean and tell us what he's hiding in those companies.
Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, to repeat, we have a process in this House that we work with the Ethics Commissioner so that we can expose all of our assets to her. And that is, in fact, what I've done. So, in terms of disclosure, 100% disclosure is the highest number you can get. That's what I've done. That allowed her to give me recommendations on what we should do to ensure that we don't have conflicts of interest. That is what we expect all 338 members of this House to do. We will continue to respect the Ethics Commissioner. We will continue to work on behalf of Canadians, which is what we were in fact elected to do.
Honourable member for Carleton.
Mr. Speaker, that minister hid an offshore company in France. And then he hid $20 million of Morneau Chappelle shares from Canadians. Now that Canadians know he held those shares because of investigative journalism, not because of his transparency, he has admitted that that wasn't the right thing to do, sold those shares, and is now saying he'll give back the ill-gotten gains. Mr. Speaker, we need to know what other inappropriate investments he might be hiding in his holding companies. Why doesn't he tell us what is in those companies?
Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, to repeat, working with the Ethics Commissioner is the approach we have in this House. It is to respect the officer of Parliament that has that duty. That's what we will continue to do. Mr. Speaker, it allows us to do the work that we've been asked to do on behalf of Canadians. We will not get distracted by the games from the other side. We will not get distracted by the personal attacks. We will continue to be focused on Canadians. That focus, Mr. Speaker, is working. Canadians are in a much better situation 2 years later than when they were when we came into office. So we will continue to do that good work on behalf of them.